I'm gonna be here for another 2 hours. I'm not gonna sleep until 7 o'clock, which is when I would go to bed anyway. Fine. Is hashedrice just like lacking of commentators or what? I hope not. I would hope that there's more Japanese runners available in Japan.
No, they're definitely just still setting up. Oh, it's okay. They got it pretty much set up.
He'll do all the commentary himself. It's fine. One man show.
That's impressive. So I love how they have pink and blue chairs in the background too. Interesting.
Yes, the color coordination was completely planned for this run.
Yeah.
Pink and blue is the best color combination.
Here we go.
Yo, we're doing it. And he's going athletic shorts, short hair. That's my boy. That's the best combination right there. The only way it can be different to be better is if it was the pigtails. Pigtails is better than short hair, but you know, close second. And we are underway. Hooray. So this game it starts out exactly the same way as Splatoon 1 did, where it'll throw you into the tutorial, because the way we reset this game actually is not in the game itself. There's no way to reset the single player data. You have to actually go into your Switch settings and delete the profile save data. So speedrunners of this game will have, you know, 8 profiles that are all just set apart for specifically running this game alone. And then if you want to reset, you don't have enough files available, you have to go into the save data and delete it. And of course, if you start the game from a new file, you see the tutorial like this. So you have to go through this. Luckily, there's a small skip, absolutely intended by the developers, no doubt about it. You saw him in the beginning jump over the boxes and jump over the wall. It skips like 30 seconds of the tutorial. And you jump right into the beginning cutscene, which is also exactly the same as Splatoon 1. There's a lot of similarities between Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 1. A lot of similarities. Except, the only thing that's not a similarity that I really don't like is that when it says press ZR and ZL, okay, so back in Splatoon 1, you can simply hold the 2 buttons the whole time, and then you instantly get it first frame. But in this game, you can't do that. You have to actually tap the button. So you're losing frames, possibly. Unless you press it perfectly. It's very annoying. And then, you have to mash through these texts really fast. I mean, I'm pretty sure the game will let you advance text as fast as you can mash. There might be a speed cap, but that's not that important. Usually, you're not going to lose time to text mashing in this game.
So who's our main villain here?
Main villain. I don't know if I should say right now. It might be a spoiler. Yeah, might keep it in the works. Let's just say it's the Octarians. You know, the same enemies from Splatoon 1. Couple new faces. They've been advancing in the genetics department, I guess. A couple new faces in the enemy side, but the final boss will keep under wraps until it says so in the dialogue. I mean, you really shouldn't be avoiding spoilers in a speedrun stream, because if you're watching a speedrun, you should probably be knowing that there's going to be spoilers. So yeah, as far as this game and Splatoon 1 go, I'd say that this game has a lot more to offer in terms of optimization. It's a lot harder to optimize this game than it was to optimize Splatoon 1. But with my experience with both games, I feel like Splatoon 1 was more consistent of a game. That's mostly due to the fact that this game is just longer, so more things to mess up, I guess. But they're both fun. They're both Splatoon, and if you like the mechanics, then you're gonna like like the game in general. So this is the technically the second level in the game, but it's the fastest level to do per the route. Each world is going to have a certain number of levels. It'll be 3 levels in the first world, and then every other world after that is going to be 6. And you have to complete every level, beat the boss in that world, and then move on to the next one. Really simple concept. The only way to go faster is, of course, to go faster in the level. And we'll see some unique strats that hashedrice will be using to do that. One of which you'll notice that he's throwing a lot of splat bombs, and hashedrice was really the first runner that used splat bombs to go fast as much as he does. What he was going for there was to jump on top of the sponge as it inflates. Unfortunately, he didn't get it because he didn't get enough momentum on the jump, and the enemies decided to shoot the sponge, which can happen. Here, he's going to grab the splashdown special. I don't think he killed them all. No, he didn't. He aimed it slightly wrong. So the splashdown there is really weird. Usually if you use the splashdown in the right spot, it will kill all the enemies that are airborne. But unfortunately, if you line up just slightly wrong, it will leave one that's living and just kind of push him way off the edge. So it loses a lot of time if that happens. And then, of course, pretty much anytime you have to climb a wall using a sponge, you're going to jump on top of it before exploding it, because it's faster to go upwards with the sponge expanding than it is to climb up the side. So you can see this is the final screen I was talking about before. So you see it gives you the in-game time, and in that case it was a 2:05, and that's like the instant feedback that you get from you complete a level and you're like, oh, okay, cool, I got a 2:05. That's really good for a first level. So as you run the game more, you sort of get to know the length of each level, and you're like, oh man, I got a 126 in this level. That's like 5 seconds slower than what I usually get. Man, that sucks,
It's good that it's instant, though.
Yeah, I do like that, because you at least know where you lost time. And it's really good feedback for practice. If I'm trying to learn new strats by watching higher level players, I can use the in-game timer to know exactly what levels I'm losing time in. If I'm getting a 121 in this level consistently, then I'm like, all right, cool, that's exactly what the world record holder is doing. But if I can't do that and I'm getting 123s, then I know I need to practice this level more to make sure that I get it more consistently. This level has a hard cap on how fast you can do it, because you can see there's a cycle at the end, and this game, in general, it depends on the level, but most of the time it'll run on global cycles, meaning as soon as you start the level, the cycle at the end, for example, will still be moving. So there's really no way to go faster than the cycle itself. The fastest time you can get here is a 121, at least in any percent. And it looks like it's a 123, which is a really average level. That's what you should be aiming for every time. Another thing I should mention is I don't know if you have noticed, but the hero shot that he's using actually fires really, really slowly. It's actually half the speed of a regular hero shot, which is the splatter shot. It's supposed to be a splatter shot clone, but in this game they changed it so that the level 1 version of the hero shot is like half the fire speed. And I really, really don't like that at all, because it just moves so slowly and there's really nothing you can do about it. Because in order to upgrade the hero shot, you have to get 800 of these little orange power eggs, which you can see he has a little over 160 right now. So you can see it'll take a while to get 800. And you have to get 2 of the Sardinium collectibles, which luckily will exist in the boss fights, so you don't have to go out of your way to get them. But it will hinder the amount of time that you can save by having a faster weapon, because you're stuck with this slow firing hero shot for until the end of the game, really. And that's another reason that you'll see him using splat bombs a lot, because throwing a splat bomb is actually faster than trying to wait for the hero shot to shoot a lot of the times.
So the diving isn't necessarily just for refilling ink, also for fast movement?
Yes, swimming in your own ink will just about double your movement speed. And of course you can only climb up walls if you are swimming up your ink. Some walls are not inkable, of course, but that's the only method of gaining vertical height, is by swimming in your ink. And that's another thing that is really hard to grasp about the movement in this game, is that you really have to balance the time that you spend shooting versus the time you spend swimming. You know, since you have such a slow hero shot, you have to take advantage of every bit of ink that you shoot, because if you think about it, like if I put it this way, I think the gun fires every 12 frames or 14 frames or so. You know, let's say that you fire 1 extra shot every single time that you fire. You know, that all adds up to 4 or 5 seconds in the level. Pretty big time loss. And I should mention, almost forgot about this, but he started this boss fight and then he did the super jump and he reset. That looks really weird, but that's actually something that we discovered early on in the game, about a week into it, where if you land and then reset the level, it'll let you skip the first cutscene of the boss cycle, which is a really long cutscene. It's like a 40-second cutscene of them coming out of the ground with some really epic music playing or something. It's like a drum beat. so we skip that, and then in the next phases, it doesn't let you skip them. But doing the skip does save 20 seconds by doing the reset, so it's worth it to do. And then we're not going to talk about how weird of a design this boss is.
Is it like a squid inside of an oven? I'm trying to figure out exactly what it is.
Yeah, the boss's name is the Octo Oven. It's an 8-sided oven that has squid faces on the bread. So it tries to toast you and shoot out the toasts, and then you gotta climb up the toasts and then hit the tentacle. I don't get it. I really don't. And that's why I love this boss, is because you can't really explain it.
Yeah, and it gets more armored along the way. The bread starts getting some plates on it.
Yeah.
So it seems like your typical 3-phase boss.
Oh yeah, here he waits a little bit. Waits a little bit to get the power eggs that I mentioned before. So after you beat the boss fight and you open up the Zapfish bubble, it'll spit out 50 power eggs for you for free. But if you grab the Zapfish early, then it won't give you any eggs, and it'll just cut you off. So those 50 power eggs are very, very necessary to getting the power-up sub-weapon that we call curling bombs, which help greatly with the movement. But you're not going to see him go and unlock the curling bombs until more than halfway through World 2, which we'll be getting to now. For some reason in this game, they decided that the worlds are to be separated by a loading screen with the super jump, and that basically killed right off the bat any chance of finding a world skip unless we find some sort of wrong warp, which is very, very, very unlikely with a game like this. So that's pretty unfortunate. When we get to World 3, I'll explain how we almost skipped World 3, how it almost happened, but we're stuck with it. So hashedrice actually, he does a different route in World 2 than me and Moofish get out the way do. So what he's gonna do is actually, he somehow, I don't know how he does it, he gets enough orbs, I call them orbs now, I mean like they're power eggs, but orbs for short, who cares? He gets enough orbs to actually unlock curling bombs one level earlier than we do, and that saves quite a bit of time. But getting that many, orbs without going super far out of your way is really, really hard. So I just don't like the route because of that. These enemies right here are actually really annoying. They're called Octo. What are they called? It's like Octo something. I call them Octo Bullets because that's just like what I thought they were called. But they're not Octo Bullets. I really need to learn this lore again. But yeah, basically what they do is they run towards you and they one-shot your armor. So they're really annoying. And the thing is, they wouldn't be as annoying if they existed in any levels that have a ranged weapon, but they just happen to throw those enemies only in the levels where you have a short range weapon, like the roller or the brush. So of course they made the enemies super hard to deal with, only in levels that they're super hard to deal with. What's this time? 140. Not too bad. No, 140 is pretty good. This is also, in World 2, this is also the part of the run where Sheldon, which is the weapons expert in the weapons distributor in the game, he gives you various weapons to use in levels, and each level is tied to a weapon. So for example, in this level, you're always going to be given the Dooleys. So every time you get a new weapon, you're going to be given this cutscene. It's like, hey, this is the weapon, this is what they do, and then you just run through it. There's 9 weapons total that we unlock throughout the run, and they vary in terms of speed and annoyingness to use. So that adds another layer of difficulty. It really does to this game. Having to learn the optimal movement for each weapon is actually really difficult, because like I said before, just shooting one extra time with a weapon can mean a couple seconds in every level. So the fact that you have to learn different weapons 9 different times and then switch between them every single level, it's quite challenging.
Yeah, it really seems like it.
But this level is really cool to watch. This is like, the Dooleys levels are the best for sure. So the Dooleys are a different weapon in Splatoon 2. They added it. It was not in Splatoon 1. And they have the ability to roll. If you are holding the shoot button and you press the jump button, you do a roll. And the rolls have a special property, which is intended, I should say. It's meant so that you don't get any extra jump distance. But if you're in the air, you actually will roll straight down. So you can see that he, you know, for sometimes on rails, he'll just do a roll to skip a certain section, or he'll do it while he's going upwards on a rail to save time. And all of those rolls being tied together all the time just really make this level a lot of fun to practice and to do in runs. Oh, I thought he missed that splat bomb.
Almost.
Yeah, so, yeah, another thing, as per the routing goes, so when you unlock a level by any means, the level will stay unlocked. The game will actually save every time you unlock a level. So you can abuse that quite a bit by unlocking a level at some point where it's convenient, and then simply super jumping back to it when you have the time to do so. So World 2 is where you start to use that strategy of unlocking a level early and then super jumping back to it. And you see that a lot in this run. This level is a series of levels you're going to see throughout the run. They're Octoling levels. They are basically human versus AI levels. You have to go through these multiplayer maps and collect 8 mini Zapfish to complete the level. He did that incredibly well, though. Like, he didn't break his armor once. He was just flying through everything. I like that a lot. But the AI can actually be very unpredictable sometimes. So you have to really practice that level and make sure you know exactly where to shoot and exactly which Octolings are worth killing. Because otherwise they will get in your way, and sometimes they'll kill you, and that's really frustrating. Here's a level where they're introducing the fruit roll-ups. They're when you shoot them, they unravel and let you climb over them. But they come with a hidden side effect where if an enemy shoots them, they'll actually unroll immediately. So you have to make sure that the enemies are not going to mess up your fruit roll up, because no one wants a messy fruit roll up.
I can agree to that.
Looks like he's going to go up the right side here. So if you go up the middle, it's possible to do it, but you have these 4 like shielded enemies that are all in a row, and they shoot rather quickly. You know, they have 8 projectiles coming at you. It's really hard to dodge and do that consistently. But if you do go up the middle, you are rewarded by saving about 2 seconds. So, you know, if you practice it enough, it is worth it. I say you save 2 seconds, even though if I do the strat, I still get like a 122 in that level. But he got a 120 and he didn't even do my strat, so he's just too good. He's just too good. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching the pinnacle of Splatoon 2 speedrunning. So as I said before, halfway through World 2, he's going to be going back to World 1 to unlock the curling bombs. And it's really unfortunate that the upgrades in this game are locked inside World 1. In Splatoon 1, you simply had to open up a menu and then buy anything you wanted. And that was a lot more fun, because if you wanted to buy something, it only cost 5 seconds. But in this game, it costs 25 seconds. So it's really hard to justify trying to unlock things. It took us a while before we realized that it was worth it to even unlock curling bombs, because it was hard to justify losing 25 seconds just to use curling bombs. But, you know, obviously if you get it early enough, then it's worth it. But I will say that the level 1 hero shot that we've been seeing throughout the run is absolutely going to be upgraded, because that's mandatory. The final boss will default to the hero shot, and it's pretty much impossible to do if you use the level 1 hero shot. It's not technically impossible per se, but it's definitely slower. So it's worth it to, right at the end of the run, you have to warp back to World 1. Buy the upgrade to the hero shot, and then go to the final boss. I should mention this level, because this is actually a very pivotal level in World 2. This is the squeegee level. So in Splatoon 2, they added these enemies. Usually we had squeegees that were on the wall. Like, that was really the only place they were. They would be on the wall. They would suck up the ink sometimes. You know, sometimes they'd mess you up, whatever. But here they added these giant floor squeegees. And you're required, like, for example, at the end of this level that it's coming up on, you're required to ride on top of the squeegee until it gets to a certain point, because otherwise it's impossible to get up on the wall. And the thing about the squeegees is that they don't like to go where you like them to go all the time. So you can't really, if you were to just shoot your weapon, you can't really manipulate them at all. They'll just go in completely random directions until you get to the wall. First strat for doing that level was to use splat bombs, because it turns out squeegees on the floor are attracted to noise of any kind, specifically explosions. So if you throw a splat bomb, or if you use a blaster, then the squeegees will go in that direction. So that works out fine. But it also was pretty inconsistent. But if you throw a curling bomb, then the squeegee would just go nice in a straight line towards the curling bomb. And then you just have to cross your fingers and pray that it doesn't change directions right at the last second and ruin your jump. Which does happen, and then you lose like 20 seconds. It's not fun. This level is the introduction to the charger, though, and oh my god, this is one of the most fun levels in the game. It's I don't want to say it's my favorite level, but it's definitely a lot of fun. This is actually a level. Oh no! He tried to go for the 6 strat, dude. Oh no! That's okay. So I talked about the charger mechanics and what he was trying to do there. So the charger can actually store a charge if you stay in squid form. So if you go to a full charge and then you go into squid form, then you will hold the charge until you leave for about 3 seconds. So you can actually use that, and you can hold a charge, go into squid form, do a jump, and then mid-air you aim perfectly and then try and get to the grapple link. But you know, just happen to mess up the inputs, because it's really hard to do that, because when you do a jump, your reticle disappears for a hot second. So it's really hard to aim it perfectly like that. And here's a really cool skip. So he's going to use the stingray here, which actually extends indefinitely across the map. And you can use that to hit the hitbox of the fan and move the entire platform over to the left. And then skip to the end. It's so cool. And the thing is, the coolest part about that level is that we found out that strat exists by using the stingray, because Nintendo themselves, I think it was like Nintendo JP's Twitter account, posted a video of the developers doing a speedrun of that individual level. And they used that strat with the stingray, where they just like shot it all the way across the map and went straight to it. And we were like, what is this? Nintendo is speedrunning their own game. This is unheard of. So you see he's going to start the boss here, do the jump, and reset. That way you can skip the cutscene. This boss is a total joke. I really don't like this boss. The reason I don't like this boss is because in terms of design, technically, like, they want you to beat the boss with every weapon, right? Because they give you a whole bunch of weapons and they want you to beat the boss with all of them. But the boss is only hard when you use the roller. The roller is the only hard weapon to beat this boss with. And it just so happens that you get the roller when you have to face this boss at 80%. So it's really annoying because this boss is like it's like a cakewalk. Like, you can just do this boss with your eyes closed if you were to use the hero shot or the Dooleys or any other weapon. But they just gave you the roller because they wanted it to be a mirror match or something. And oh no, the worst in that. Can he save it? No, he can't. So the thing about the roller and what makes this boss so hard to do with it is that you run out of ink really quickly. And if you run out of ink at the wrong time, like you just did, then you can't deal enough damage to stun lock. So he'll jump away and lose a bunch of time.
Guy's got a wicked ponytail.
Yeah, he's the samurai. But in general, his attacks are really easy to dodge, so he's really a joke of a boss, but you will lose a lot of time if you make a mistake like that. But that's alright. He's gonna be getting out of World 2 in a pretty paceable time. Looks like it'll be like a 30-20 something, which is pretty good.
Yeah, 120.
Yep. Alright, so now we are done with World 2, and we're heading on to World 3. Now you may be thinking, alright, well, there's 5 worlds, Tones. This is like the halfway point, right? Well, absolutely not. It's absolutely not the halfway point. In fact, the halfway point is like halfway through World 4. It's really dumb. World 5 in itself is about 30 minutes, which is really dumb. You know, you think the worlds would have equal size, but the World 5 is like a third of the entire game. And that's why World 5 is one of the most frustrating parts of the run, because it's right at the end and there's also so much to do and so much to make a mistake on. But yeah, as I mentioned before, and I wanted to save it until now, we did find a way to possibly skip World 3. Possibly. So at the end of World 3, like in every single world, there is a barrier, and the barrier is lit up and doesn't break until you beat the boss. But we found a way to clip inside the barrier. We were like, oh, this is sweet. We can clip inside the barrier. That means we can get the super jump pad. We can go straight to World 4. This is awesome. Then we clip inside the barrier, and the super jump panel was deactivated. It just didn't work. So now we're just stuck doing it. Like we got inside the barrier, we did everything right, but still can't skip it. Very, very smart. Very smart on the dev side. But as far as this level itself goes, this level, when we first did a run of this game, was probably the most annoying level. Or at least we thought this was going to be the run. This was going to be the level that killed the run. That no one was ever going to want to do this run ever again because this level was so bad. The reason is because to progress in this level, you have to kill these enemies, which are called Octo Kooks. I call them sprinty guys, the sprinty boys. And most of them have a key, and you have to kill them to get the key. And when we first did it, we didn't know how to manipulate them, so we thought it was just going to be this impossible feat to do them fast. It would just be random. But it's not random. It's actually very consistent to manipulate these guys. It's all about where you shoot your ink and what sub-weapons you use. So as long as you do everything perfectly, and you have to... Like, you can't just do everything fast. You have to do everything correctly. You have to aim in the right spots. You gotta kill the right enemies. You gotta throw your splat bombs in the right spots. But if you do all that right, you should be able to come through this level very fast. I should mention though that the manipulation, although is consistent, is very precise. So, whoa, is that faster? Aw, you've been hiding strats from us. Come on. I didn't know you can die there and then just make it faster. All right, I'm learning something. Awesome.
You heard it here first, guys. New strats.
New strats, new route. That probably saved like a quarter of a second. But still, I'm gonna be using that. This level he's going to be given the Splatling, which is almost like a charger weapon. It works on the same principle where you have to charge up the shot before you fire, but instead of a charger, instead of being a one-shot long-range kill, you get a machine gun. So that really makes movement with the Splatling very difficult. You have to have a really good grasp on, you know, when to fire, when to hold, how long to hold the charge for, because, you know, remember, if you hold the charge for a half charge, then you're only going to fire half the distance, or you're going to fire slower, or you're going to fire less projectiles overall, and it might not kill the enemy, it might not reach the enemy, it might not paint the ground in front of you, or do whatever you want to do. So you have to keep all of those little micromanagements in mind every single time you shoot. Otherwise, you'll be unoptimal. I believe this is the first instance where we see flutters in the game. Flutters were a notorious enemy in Splatoon 1 because they were random and they one-shot if you touch them. But in this game, they're a lot more tame. Simply because in this game, you get an armor stack, which if you ever lose 100 health for whatever reason, then you will simply, instead of dying and going back to a checkpoint, you will lose your armor and you'll go half speed, and you're basically one shot from death. So it's like a safety net, sort of, but you also have to pretty much change everything you're doing, because if you do anything wrong, then you're gonna die from losing your armor. So, and then the ending in that level. Oh, the ending of that level is really cool. That's just an abuse of using the grapple links and the long range weapon to get across earlier than we first thought possible. And here he's gonna be abusing the long distance of the Splatling to open up this kettle early and just jump straight to it. This Octoling level is arguably the hardest. It's consistent if you do everything perfect, but like the smallest imperfection in where you're aiming, or, you know, how you move, can, you know, make the Octolings one-shot you. And the reason they one-shot you is because instead of having shooter weapons like they did in the first level, they actually have rollers. Every Octoling in this level has a roller. And of course, the roller is a one-shot at close range. So you have to, like, exactly that happens, and he might die here because of that. If he gets touched, oh my god, I cannot believe he got through that. That was incredible. That was very impressive. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like the smallest little mistake can mean disaster, and he played it perfectly. He knew exactly what to do to avoid dying there. This level we're going to be going back to the hero shot, level 1 hero shot, but we have these really cool bouncy pads, little bouncy boys, and there's quite a few strats when it comes to these bouncy pads. First of all, if you go into the bouncy pad from your ink, like directly from your ink, then you'll actually get a speed boost on every jump after that, as long as you maintain a direction without moving. But if you lose that momentum for whatever reason, then you actually move really slowly, and it's actually faster to move in kid form at that point. And holding the B button when you land will give you a very high jump. You jump higher when you are in kid form. And oh, is he gonna get the hole in one? Is he gonna get the hole in one? Didn't get it. He didn't get the Kobe. Didn't get the Kobe. Oh, this part of the end is one of the hardest parts of the level. You have to avoid a lot of enemies, and if you break your armor anywhere, then you're just a sitting duck for all the shots, which, like I said before, you're one shot from death. You really don't want to take that.
Gets a 121 on that level.
121 is insane. That's like really good. I usually get like, I would pop off if I got a 125. I'd be very excited for that. He got a 121 like it's nothing. I really love the aesthetic of the level. They got it's like nighttime, they got lava lamps everywhere. You know, they have skylights and the spotlights, and they got these giant helicopter guys that roam around and don't really do anything. Then you also have the slosher, which is surprisingly not a bad weapon for movement. I thought that the slosher was going to be a lot slower than it is, but, you know, considering the nature of the slosher, which you fire once and then it makes a large pool of ink in front of you, or a long line of ink in front of you. He has to be really careful here. He doesn't have armor. He's good. He's good. The slosher is not actually that bad, and the slosher has the advantage of it can actually shoot over walls and still deal the same damage. So sometimes if there's a shielded enemy, you can actually, if you aim correctly, you can aim over the shield and one-shot it without having to do any extra business. This is the only hard part of the level that's coming up here. He has to make this cycle of the helicopter guy and not fall off of it, of course. And it looks like he gets it no problem. That was easy peasy. Learning that strat is really, really hard though. Oh, he's in a very bad spot. How did he survive that? What was that? What?
Sponge saves the day.
So the sponge expanded, or the sponge was half expanded, and he fell through the crack. And then while he fell through the crack, it fully expanded. And then he couldn't get up because it was blocked by the wall. And then he just went around the corner and avoided death. Wow. And here we have Parking Garage. Now, Parking Garage is another charger level, and it's one of the most mechanically dynamic levels in the game. You have to know a lot of strats to get through this level in a fast pace. You know, you have to have perfect aim with the charger. You have to know how to manipulate enemies. You have to throw your sub weapons correctly at the end. You know, you gotta have perfect positioning all the time. Good movement through this section right here to, you know, avoid all the enemy fire. There's a lot going on in this level, and I feel like watching it in a speedrun doesn't really do this level justice because it's really challenging to do. But I will say, as an advantage of speedrunning this game, you do get really, really good at using the charger. And those skills translate online pretty much 1-to-1. So I used to be a Splattershot main for Splatoon 1, because that's of course what we used in any percent. But in Splatoon 2, I've grown to like the charger a lot, because of course they added the new mechanic of being able to hold the charge, which I like a lot, and the fact that I've gotten really good at it since I played in single player so much. It makes that jump no problem. That's one of the hardest jumps in the game. And then here you see him throw the splat bomb first and then shoot the other Octoling coming through. You have to kill both of the Octolings to grab the key, and the key spawns right on top of that pillar that he was standing on. So, you know, you have to stand on the pillar and then perfectly throw the splat bomb so it stays on the other pillar, and then you have to kill the Octoling as it lands. And if you do all that together, then you get a quick kill. But if you miss that quick kill, you are done for. It is so insanely hard to recover from not getting the quick kill, because the Octolings are really hard to hit with the charger in one shot. So, really glad that he got that first try and didn't watch him just struggle trying to catch the Octolings around. And that will be the last level in World 3, and now we'll go on to the boss fight, which a lot of you might remember from Splatoon 1. Splatoon 1 had the Octo Stomp boss in World 1, and they decided, you know what, Octo Stomp didn't get enough love in Splatoon 1, let's bring him back. So he's back. But he has a lot of new moves. It was really funny. I mentioned this a couple times, but me and a lot of other runners in the community, we did a day 1 blind race of this game, where as soon as the game came out, you know, because you know, I usually am against blind races when a game first comes out, because you should enjoy the game before you speedrun it. You really should. But it's Splatoon 2, so like there's not really a lot of substance to the single player in like terms of enjoyment, because most of the effort in this game is going to be spent online. So we were just like, you know what, screw the savoring of the single player, let's just go straight into the blind run, it'll be really fun. And it was. And then we all get to this boss fight, and we're all Splatoon 1 runners, and we're like, it's Octo Stomp, I'm just going to do the same thing we did normally. And then we all end up dying in this boss fight multiple times, because we're like, this is nothing like Splatoon 1. How are we supposed to know that this boss was going to charge at us first thing? It looks like hashedrice is actually taking intentional damage in return for hitting that buckle a couple times. If he can get the cycle skip, oh, he was really close to doing that. If he gets that cycle skip, that saves quite a bit of time. It's actually pretty impressive. But also way more risky, because in this game, you never want to break your armor.
looks like some nice story there.
Yeah, the story in this game is pretty solid. I mean, like, so okay, so funny story. So I was speedrunning the game first week, and I had a friend who came in and was like, hey, well, you know, what's all the story about? And I was like, all right, let me just explain it. So then I went into his stream later, and he was like, I got a question. So how come the Squid Sister is the final boss? And then this is the first week of the game, and his entire chat blew up. He was like, why'd you spoil the game for us, dude? And meanwhile, I'm sitting there like, it's Splatoon 2. It's not that big of a deal to spoil the game. But people were just blowing up on it because, like, they really were sensitive about not knowing that Callie was the final boss. Even though, if you were paying attention at all, it's the most obvious thing that could have ever happened in the story. You know, oh, Callie's gone missing. I wonder where she is. Obviously brainwashed by Bacterians. Obviously. And if you thought different, then I'm sorry. If it was a genuine shock, then I'm glad you got a genuine shock. But that was...
I've been genuinely shocked.
Oh man.
Yeah, I got 2 shocks about the Squid Sisters today. What is this?
Well, you would have if you didn't get shocked now, you would have got shocked 30 minutes from now. So it'll be a like a ease you into it, so to say, ease you into the shocking. So yeah, along with the fact that this game is like 6 months old, so. This level is another one of those global cycle based levels where you're capped by speed usually, and if you go too slow, then it, like, you know, so if you miss a couple seconds in one area, then you can lose like 10 seconds in the last area. That's pretty much how the cycles work. So you see these little rotating platforms. You know, they rotate pretty slowly, and if you get on the wrong cycle, then it takes a while to wait for it to get to a point where you can complete it. So it's not too much of a hard cap of speed though, as much as other levels. So that's good. World 4 is actually the easiest route to figure out, really. The levels are very straightforwardly placed. So you know, finding a route for this, it wasn't necessarily free, but at least when we were doing the blind run, it was really easy to figure out. And this level is really frustrating. This is where they introduced the bowling ball enemies, which I think are hilarious. It's just little Octarians that are just riding along in a bowling ball. But this level is actually... I was talking about hard cap cycles in the last level, and this is one of the levels that has those hard cap cycles. It's you'll see it right in the middle, sort of. There's, you know, this moving platform that moves up and down, and you can't skip it. You cannot do a cycle faster than what he's about to do. So luckily, making this cycle is pretty easy, so you don't have to worry about executing super precisely the whole time. But if you were to miss that cycle for whatever reason, then you have a reason to be upset. And he's just blowing through this level. Wow, this is fast. This is really fast. Oh, 130. That's insane. Considering you're hard capped on a cycle right in the middle, and then you still go that fast, that's crazy. Here's going to throw a Splat Bomb early. The Splat Bomb is going to unlock this level a little bit easier. And in this level is the only auto-scroller in the level. I mean, unless you count bosses. I wouldn't really count bosses as auto-scrollers, even though they're pretty auto-scrollery sometimes. The final boss, Bolo. But this one is like a legitimate auto-scroller. Like you sit on a platform and you can't do anything. Oh. I should correct myself. There's actually 2 auto-scrollers in this level. This is one of them. Where you're just sitting on the rail and you have to climb up the tower. I really wish there was some way to, like, really slickly climb up the tower completely vertically like that. But I feel like even if you could, it wouldn't be worth it. This part's actually pretty difficult. There's the 3 snipers here, and the snipers have really, really big range. It's actually a bigger range than your charger weapon, and they also one-shot you. So you have to be really careful when you're going through that section because you don't want to die and get caught out. And this is the second auto-scroller I was talking about. Just a couple enemies spawn, shoot at you. Not too big of a deal. Oh, see ya. Then he gets through it. That's all. So we're halfway through World 4 now. Can't wait until we get to World 5. World 5 is where the fun really begins. That's where the fun levels start. I shouldn't say fun levels because they're really not fun. Oh no, he missed the crate jump. That jump right there is the reason why I don't do this route anymore. Like, this route might be faster, but you have to do this jump to the side to skip those crates because those are what I call fun boxes. They're fun because you just sit there and you shoot at it for like 4 seconds and they still don't break. So it's a lot of fun. But they're fun boxes, and it takes a long time to actually destroy them. So it's faster to just do a precise jump over onto the ledge, but it's a really dumb time loss to get. So I was just like, let me try and make a route that's not as dumb. and I found something that may not be as fast, but doesn't have to do that. Ding, ding. This map is Moray Towers. This is one of the returning maps from Splatoon 1 to come back into Splatoon 2. I'm not sure why they decided to put this map in instead of, literally any other map in Splatoon 1, but that's just their choice, I guess. It's very vertical, and you have to use the Dooleys and the curling bombs as much as possible to make sure that you don't lose time. And using the curling bombs correctly is actually really hard because curling bombs take 80% of your ink to use, and if you don't have the 80% of ink, then you can't use it. So ink management is one of the separators that, you know, separates the men from the boys in this game, is being able to control your ink at certain points of the run, so you make sure that you don't lose time from not being able to throw a curling bomb or something. I should mention that what you're watching the world record holder, hashedrice. He is the Japanese runner. He communicates with American runners enough. You know, he also does stream on Twitch, so it's easy to go onto his stream and talk about it. His stream on Twitch is simply hashedrice. I actually enjoy watching him a lot, even though his stream is in Japanese. I don't understand Japanese, but it's fun to watch. I just like watching Splatoon 2 gameplay, especially when it's done really well. So I recommend giving him a follow, possibly giving him affiliate. Wink, wink. He deserves it. I mean, if you're the world record holder in Splatoon 2, which is one of the most popular games of 2017. But he is really, really good at this game. And what I love about the speedrunners in this game is that, you know, the game, of course, has two modes in my mind. It has the single player mode and the multiplayer mode. A lot of people, the majority of people, are probably not going to dabble in single player at all. At least not nearly as much as the speedrunners will. But you know, the skills are transferable. So I personally enjoy playing online a lot, and I'm sure hashedrice does as well. Here he's doing a really precise Briella Skip. So there's two charges here that are really annoying. But what he has to do is jump slightly forward, like off the ledge. Like he has to jump off the ledge and then fire the Briella, which is really short range, and then, you know, curl back onto the ledge to get the skip. And it's not as easy as it looks, because you do have to risk jumping forward and everything to make sure that you get it. And if you miss it the first time, then the chargers will get their shot off, and you'll be left at the mercy as you break your armor, and you won't be able to do it anymore. And then this is the most annoying level in World 4, for sure. This is called the Experiment Aureum. This is a sort of a search and retrieval level. So there's 3 subsections of this level, as well as the hub world. You see he's going to climb up these walls and then super jump to each certain segment. And then at the end of each segment, there will be a key. And you need all 3 keys to move on to the last section. And the 3 sections are okay. I mean, they're not really that challenging, but they do take a long time, so it gets boring to run this level, especially practice it. And all with the fact that you're using the blaster, and the blaster is not the friendliest weapon for movement. It doesn't fire very far, and the end lag after shooting is really long. So, you know, it takes a long time to be able to learn how to go fast with the blaster. You'll see runners often opting for the curling bombs, like you see here, instead of using the blaster, because it's way faster. So you need the 3 keys because there's 3 different switches, and the switches are hidden underneath little glass lock boxes, and you can't get through them. I really wish there was a way to skip them, but can't. Like some way to dupe keys or somehow activate the switch from inside the lockbox. That'd be crazy. Oh no! Alright, he grabbed the checkpoint. That's not the worst place to die. But what happened there is what I like to call the ring around the rosy. So the checkpoint is really weird. The checkpoint is an inked portion of the level, so you do get movement speed from being in the ink. But the problem with the checkpoint ring is, since there's a little ring of metal ring around it, sometimes your movement will get cut off and then you sort of spin around the ring and it ruins your momentum. And that's exactly what happened to him. He went along the tangent line of the checkpoint, and then he started moving sideways and lost all of his speed, so he couldn't make the jump. And that's something that just happens. You can't really do anything about that. So after you get through all the gauntlet sections where you get the keys, you're rewarded with another annoying part of the level, which is these squeegees, which do not like to listen to you in the slightest. I mean, he did a really good job of manipulating them. If you fire your blaster in front of you, then the squeegee will move in the direction of the blaster. So that makes this part a little bit more consistent, but it's still really annoying. And if you were to fall off the squeeze at any time, then it's a really hard time to get back on top of it. And here's going to be going into the hardest boss fight in the game. This is the Octo Shower, and he is insanely inconsistent. So it's not RNG consistent, I don't think. It does have to deal with how you fire your weapon, but it's very, very hard to get the quick kill on this boss fight. Very, very hard. So hopefully he will get it, because it does look really cool when you get it. But if he doesn't, it doesn't lose that much time. It'll be okay. You are using the charger as well, and the charger, of course, has a very small area of effect. So aiming it is very difficult. So that adds another layer of difficulty to this boss fight. It's not only about being perfect about the setup of the quick kill, you also have to nail all of the shots. And here's the first quick kill attempt. Looks like he gets it, and he nails the charge. That's exactly what you need to do. I'm impressed. So yeah, what you do there is you have to kill 3 of the 4 octocopters that are holding him up, and then by the time he charges you, there's only 1 left, and you can hit him while he's charging you if you time it right, which unfortunately he didn't do there. He missed one of the shots. Hopefully he won't get missiled. That's exactly what I was afraid of. No! No! That's happened to me a bunch of times. Dying in the phase 3 is a huge, huge, huge time loss. It's very annoying, because not only are you wasting time from the death, but he's also in this really weird spot which you're not used to, and you cannot set up a quick kill from that spot. So you have to do this part really slowly as well. That's why like if I ever mess up the charge shot like that, I will always refill my armor and make sure that I'm at full health before I even try to touch him, because he fires a missile and the missile will one-shot you at that point. So it's not great. Not a great situation. But that's okay. At least he showed off what the quick kill looks like, and he backed it up quite nicely, being able to get the 2 cycle on the 3rd phase. So that was good. So now we will be heading into World 5, which is the funkiest and longest segment of the run. There's 6 levels in World 5, just like there are in all the other worlds, but it does have the final boss, which is a 9-minute boss fight. Yeah, it's a 9-minute boss fight. So you know, say, oh, it's the final boss, we're almost done, but you're not really almost done. Looks like he's going to be going the standard route. Going to objectively the coolest level in the game. To do fast, at least. He's going to stand from underneath and then just unlock the level with the charger. And then when you super jump to it, you can just skip the cycle altogether. The platform that the kettle is on is like rotating, and you can only get inside the kettle when the kettle's on the top. So there's really no reason to go for it normally, because if you super jump, then it'll automatically give you the cycle. This is what I was talking about with the speed. It's the Dooleys and the roll mechanic is really insane to watch. Here's going to be doing some damage boost through the purple churros. You notice that so what you're supposed to do there is actually switch lanes by doing a jump across the ink rails, but that's of course slower than if you were to stay in one lane. So if you manipulate the churros correctly, then you can just damage boost through all of them, and it doesn't really make a difference. The advantage of using the Dooleys is that so when you break your armor, usually your armor will slow you down about half speed. But when you're rolling with the Dooleys, the armor breakage doesn't matter. You're gonna roll at the same speed regardless. So it's useful because you know, even if you are, you're also roll at the same speed even if you're in the ink rail if you break your armor. So breaking your armor just doesn't matter in this level at all. So you just gotta do whatever's fastest. He's going to jump over that first one, and then he's going to... Oh, it looks like he's going to jump over all of them. There's 2 different ways you can do this. You can either jump over all of them, or you can damage boost on the second one. They're both about the same speed. Jumping over them is a little bit faster because when you get a dodge roll on the ink rail, it's actually faster to move than if you just stay in the ink rail normally. So that's probably what he was going for. Here's one of the most complicated kettle unlocks in the game. So you saw him just jump off and die, right? He must have made a mistake. But really, you see that on the second time around, there's a kettle there, and the kettle is going to be unlocked by those splat bombs, and that's why it's the most complicated unlock in the game, is because you know, the kettle is completely invisible. You know, the first time you go around it, you can see a slight distorted outline, like it was made of glass, but it's really hard to tell where exactly it is. And if you miss the bomb throws, then you miss an entire cycle, and it loses like 12 seconds. So, but you know, along with an annoying unlock, you also have along with it the most annoying level in the entire game. Not only in World 5. This is the most annoying level in the entire game. So I've talked about a lot of possibly annoying things in this run. I've talked about the Octo Kooks. I've talked about the Octo Bullets here. I've talked about the ink brush in general. I've talked about squeegees. I've talked about shield enemies being really dumb and inconsistent. This level has all of those things. Every single one of the annoying things that you faced in the game so far is put into this one level. Right here you have the Octo Kooks. In the beginning you have the Octo Bullets. Like at the end you're going to be having a squeegee section over invisible ground. It's like they're teasing us with how many bad things they can put into one level. And on top of all of that, you're using the brush, which is really hard for movement because you have to worry about ink efficiency. It's really hard to deal damage because it doesn't have any range, and it's just like awkward to use all the time. You can't really aim up walls. You have to like do weird setups to deal damage to enemies. It's really hard. This is probably the most practiced level of any speedrunner, and even then you can still lose up to 40 seconds in this level just from a small mistake. Especially right here at the ending. The ending has these squeegees, and the squeegees have the potential to totally screw you up, you know, sometimes, and it's not even your fault. So he's going to use a special here, which is actually a curling bomb rush. And the curling bomb rush is really helpful in this part because it'll navigate the squeegees to where you want them to go. And he does make the jump first try, thank God. Oh, if he were to fall off the squeegee at any point, it'd be game over. Like there's honestly no way that you can back it up without like losing at least 20 seconds in that part because the squeegees are so unpredictable. So that's why that level is the worst. It sucks that it's in World 5 as well, so it's definitely one of the choke points in the run. See, World 5 is actually really unique in a world in that the level unlocks are actually based on cycles. No other world has these moving cycles around it. Hey, where is he going? Did he just like miss a cycle or something? Probably. So yeah, that's what I was saying, where like this is all cycle based, you know. You like, along with having to do the unlocks correctly and execute the levels perfectly once you're inside the levels, you also have to worry about the overworld and making sure you make that cycle, because if you miss that cycle that he just missed, you know, it's another bit of time loss that's not even related to the level itself. I do really have to appreciate that hashedrice is rocking the aviators and the lab coat, like the Squid Research Lab. If any of you remember the promotional materials from Splatoon 2, they have the Squid Research Lab people, which play the game and showcase all the things that they observe about the Splatoon 2 universe, and that's probably what he's emulating here. This is another one of those bowling ball levels, except this time you have the roller, so it's about 10 times harder. Movement with the roller is really awkward because it takes a long time to get any ink on the ground because the roller flick is very slow. And, you know, if you are caught without ink, which happens a lot, then you can lose a lot of time like that. Along with the fact that these bowling balls are very large at the ending here. So, you know, it's really hard to navigate sometimes. Oh, see, that's a very interesting strat that he used there. So he was on an uninkable surface, but he also just stayed in squid form because the squid form has a smaller vertical hitbox. And because it has a smaller vertical hitbox, he's able to slip underneath the bowling ball. Whereas if he was in kid form, he actually would have gotten hit easily. World 5 is also pretty much a joke as far as getting to the levels legitimately. I think of all of the 6 levels, I think you only go to 2 of them the legitimate way, where you don't actually unlock the level early using splat bombs, which I think is really cool. This part here, this beginning section is full of enemies, and he looks like he's killing a couple of the enemies before he grabs the key. That way, on the way back, he doesn't get slowed down. This level is one of the least forgiving levels in the game. You know, if you make a mistake anywhere, or if an enemy hits you and you lose your armor, you are probably going to die. And dying is a huge time loss in this level because it'll mess up the cycles, and you'll lose your special weapon and a whole bunch of other things that you really don't want at the end of your run. You have to be really careful at this section here because the platforms are always moving, and sometimes the platforms are moving in a way where it just creates a huge gap where you'll die if you step over it. So, you know, you gotta really watch where you're stepping. Make sure you don't do anything too fast, otherwise you'll jump in the wrong spot. And then here's another sort of auto-scroller, so you have to hit this little drum thing, which I really love that this is in the game because it's literally those drums where like you spin the drum in your fingers, in your hands, like you're trying to warm your hands, you just spin the drum like that, and then it makes the beads hit the drum from the outside. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's those drums, and then they're just like in the game and you have to shoot them. But to skip a lot of the difficulty with that section, you can actually throw the rain cloud, and the rain cloud will hit the drum for you, and you don't have to worry about your ink anymore. Man, almost done. Yeah, I gotta say almost done, but we still got like 20 minutes left. 20 minutes to do 3 levels.
I do like the neon colors though for that level.
Oh yeah. Like I was saying before, the aesthetics in this game is really nice, and you can notice even inside your ink and the enemy ink, there's like little kind of like glittery particles everywhere, and makes it look a little bit more fresh. No way, he was going for that. I gotta respect that. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, so what he was going for there was a cycle skip. If you go for this little wall normally, there's no way you can make the cycle. But if you set it up perfectly, then you can actually skip the cycle, and it's really, really hard. So I would not. I never ever think about doing that in a run. I gotta respect him for going for it. It actually doesn't lose that much time if you die, because, you know, the cycle starts when you get near it anyway. So, you know, if you die and then you reset the cycle, you really only have to worry about the time that it takes to respawn, which is about 6 seconds. And it saves like 12 seconds if you get the cycle skip, so it's definitely worth it if you're consistent at it. Here he throws a splat bomb, and the splat bomb will actually activate a switch, which will make this platform start moving, this little cross shaped platform. And you have to hit all 6 of these switches to progress. And what the game wants you to do is, you know, kill the enemies on both sides, so that you can get the switch to move. But you can actually hit all the sides of the switch from the outside without having to kill any enemies. So it's a lot faster to do that. Then we're gonna have one more level. Let's see if he goes straight to it or if he's gonna unlock the hero shot first. Looks like he's gonna unlock the hero shot first. So I believe Movefish did testing where doing the unlock after the final level is actually faster because the cycles are different in World 5. But if they are, it doesn't really make much difference, and he's the world record holder, so I mean I can't really talk anything bad about him. And this will be the final level, which is also an Octoling level. There's again the 8 Zapfish that you have to collect to finish the level, and the level ends when you collect the 8th one. And while you're doing that, you have to avoid all these little Octolings everywhere, which have auto aim, and they're dumb, and they're OP, and no one likes them. The Octolings in this game are so good. The AI definitely got way smarter in this game than it did in Splatoon 1. Their aim is spectacular. Like, for example, if you're in their immediate vicinity when they super jump, they will hit you and break your armor before they even land. They just always know exactly where to aim no matter what. It's crazy. But he gets through the level no problem. And he was using the Slosher, which is a faster weapon, I believe. But the Slosher is, of course, a lot harder to use. So it's going to take an intentional death there. So it warps you back to the start little hub section here, which is where the final boss is. And all you have to do now is jump in. And then we have the final boss, which is the moment we've all been waiting for. What happened to Callie? How are we going to save her? What's going to happen? Now, of course, the text here is going to be in Japanese. You probably won't be able to read it on this English restream. That's why you're here. So, basically, the reasoning is Callie was brainwashed by DJ Octavio, who is the final boss of Splatoon 1. And DJ Octavio kidnapped Callie, forced her to wear these hypno shades, and Callie is pretty much forced to be a feature on his album, which apparently people don't like. So that's pretty much the lore to why you're trying to find Callie. DJ Octavio's got some Kanye shades on, and this boss fight is very straightforward in terms of like execution. Like there's not really a lot to explain about it other than the fact that it's random. This boss fight is very unfortunate when it comes to doing full game runs. So the way this boss fight works is you see he's shooting glowing fists at you, and you have to shoot the fist back to deal damage to him. And each phase takes each phase takes 8 fists. 8 separate fists. So for example, he just hit 4 separate fists by getting 2 cycles of it already. But the order at which he attacks you is decided by RNG. So the only attack that you can hit him is glowing fists. And of course, anytime he shoots an attack that is not a glowing fist, then it's bad RNG. And this boss fight can vary by up to 45 seconds, maybe 50 seconds. I've seen as worse as a minute of variation in this boss fight. Strictly to RNG. Even if you execute everything perfectly, you can still get bad RNG and lose a minute, which is really unfortunate in terms of the full game run. I really wish that the boss didn't have this variance, and you can tell like just now he's getting very, very bad RNG in phase 1. So it doesn't really bode well for the rest of the boss fight. But at least we get some cool jams and neat music and cutscenes. The music in this boss fight is actually pretty banging, so can't really complain about that.
Well, because we are the English restream, we actually don't hear the music.
No, if you want to hear the music, then mute the stream and go over to RTA in Japan. They're streaming the music. Especially the last one. At least see the last one. That's where the anime starts. He's getting insane RNG in phase 2. Wow. He's good. He's good. He just got 6 fists, like, immediately. Oh my god. Okay. He got spinning fists. Oh my god. That's the best phase 2 I've ever seen in my life. That is insane. I think he got like 1 extra cycle from that. Other than that, it was perfect. So that totally made up for having bad RNG in phase 1, for sure. So here Marie is pops Callie in the head and removes the shades. So now's the final push where we save Callie. And we get into the third phase, which is the hardest to execute, I guess, but there's really no difficulty in the execution part in this boss fight. The hardest thing you have to do execution-wise is getting what we call the double fist, which is exactly what you see here. He ended up missing it. So Octavio will shoot 2 fists at the same time, and that will like obviously if you hit 2 fists back, then they both add towards the 8 counter. But if you miss one of the fists, then you will miss out on one of the cycles. And whether or not that wastes time, it might not even waste time in the long run, you know, considering what cycles he can give you at the end. So it might not be that bad, but it's still unfortunate to miss it, because it's something that you really shouldn't miss. It's not too difficult, but it definitely is possible to miss the double fist. So right now he's at six fists. This would be 7. So yeah, so that's how we tell that missing that 1 double fist did matter, because if he hit that double fist, then the phase would be over now. He'd be done. But he has to wait for 1 more glowing fist now, which can come out at any time. So we just have to wait for 1 more glowing fist. Which is really a shame, because that was the best phase 3 RNG I've ever seen. He had a perfect phase 2 and phase 3. That's crazy. But either way, this is the part where you all need to switch over, because this is the most important song and most important part of the run. Alright, so this is the Rainmaker tutorial. Rainmaker is a game mode in the online ranked battle section of Splatoon 2. And the object of Rainmaker is to use this special weapon and reach the enemy goal while you're holding the special weapon. And the special weapon has a grenade projectile on it. So the game here is pretty much teaching you how to use the Rainmaker. You have to charge it up and you have to shoot the grenade at it. And like all the other phases, this is 8 fists and you're done. This part isn't that heavy in RNG either, because Octavio usually stays pretty consistent as for how many glowing fists versus how many spinning fists he'll shoot. So you don't really have to worry about losing a ton of time here. Okay, so that's really smart what he's doing there. So there's only 2 ink rails that'll lead to Octavio, and he set it up so that he gets in the one pretty fast. Bing, time. Gotta say, the final split in this game is so satisfying. It's so sad. Before we heard, before we got the game, we speculated what the final split would be, and if it would be, consistent, and easy to split on. And yeah, it's definitely very satisfying. So good run to hashedrice. A 135.36 is a very very solid run. That would still be 4th place on the leaderboard. That would have still beaten me if I didn't PB like a week ago. So very very impressive run, especially considering it's a marathon setting. So when you just say, hey, you have a no reset to do while thousands of people are watching and you're giving commentary, it's a heavy feat. And I appreciated watching it.
Yeah, GG definitely to hashedrice. That was an amazing, that was a fantastic run, absolutely. Very, very nicely done.
Next up, we have a Pokemon, right? No, Dr.
No,
Luigi.
Dr. Luigi.
I see it on the schedule now. Pokemon's later. It's on the same day. It came close. Dr. Luigi. That's a game that came out during the year of Luigi, right? That's one of those weird games that they decided to tack in just because.
Yeah, it was back in 2013, 2014, some time around then it came out. But yeah, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, I assume it's like Dr. Mario-ish.
Yes.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for commentating this. It was really, really fantastic.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed commentating this.
And
of course, helping out because the English restream had it has to happen. You have to have somebody to give commentary because you can't expect the American viewers who want to watch some good old quality speedruns to understand Japanese. So I'm glad that I was contacted to be on commentary here because it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, you did a fantastic job.
This
looks like a really great game to run, and I'll forever remember that the Squid sisters are not actually sisters.
They are cousins. Yes.
Yep. So once again, thank you so much, Tones Ballones, for the great commentary. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you for being the co-host, Akira.
And to the rest of you, make sure that you continue to stick around, as we do have a lot more speedrunning action for the rest of the next few days. So you guys getting spoiled here with all these speedruns. And looks like we have Dr. Luigi coming up next here. Dr. Luigi L Capsule 0 to 20 LV run, and following that, a Mega Man Star Force any % cards run. This is the second annual RTA in Japan marathon, and you're watching the English restream hosted here on twitch.tv/speedgaming3. The Speed Gaming family of channels, Speed Gaming, Speed Gaming 2, 3, and 4, also host a variety of speedrun events, marathons, and tournaments, so be sure to give these 4 channels a follow. The restream will be live from December 27th at 2 AM all the way to December 31st at 5:30 AM Eastern Standard Time. Alright, and it looks like we are going to have a new host